Hey everybody, and welcome to Kinfolk and Nem. We are back on a Tuesday night, 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern, and right now we gonna shout out to the West Coast because we shouting out to them 7:30 Pacific. We of course have our boys Greg, Napo, Ish, and B Reese in the house. Anybody want to give a quick shout out?
Ishmael, where baby at?
Hell
Yeah,
no.
where
What up?
baby Ezekiel at? Can we give a can we
He's
show?
eating. No, he's
He's
eating.
okay. Okay, maybe baby Ezekiel the next time.
Yeah,
All
next
right.
time he'll pop in.
If it's your first time tuning in, please like and share this broadcast so we can get more folks checking out the broadcast. Of course, to our show, Kinfolk and Nem, can we give a big shout out to everybody that's like our Facebook page? Because we now have 200 likes on Facebook.
Yeah.
Hey, appreciate that.
Appreciate everybody that's liked Kinfolk and Nem on Facebook. We definitely do appreciate that.
Real shit, real talk.
And again, like and share this post,
Like I said,
the
this shit, you
Facebook
hoe ass
page,
niggas.
and everything we got on YouTube.
No, I'm kidding. Y'all not hoe ass niggas. Y'all are gifted intellectuals, divine minds, and all that other good stuff.
You can't start the show calling people.
I know, calling the people that tune in.
You gotta hit them in the face with the realness of life,
Well-
because that's what life does. Hit you in the face with realness.
A lot of people got hit in the face on this show. Last Chance U, Laney College. Hey, that's a great transition. That's a great transition. Just saying.
No, we're
Just
working
saying.
on it, baby.
Hey, we working on it, baby. So, like I said, the big hot show that came out again last week, Last Chance U. This year they were in Oakland, California at Laney College. And for this episode, I wanted to get somebody on that actually went to Laney College to discuss more about the school and also his playing experience at Laney College. So I have a really good friend of mine, Tyrone Diggs. Would you like to introduce yourself right quick?
Ego! Hey, what's up, man? You feel me? Boy Tyrone Diggs in the motherfucking house. You know what I'm saying? Laney alumni. We out here representing, man. We went crazy on Netflix. All I got to say, man. You want more than that?
No, I love it. Hey, we bringing the Bay to the H. I appreciate that, baby. I appreciate that. Nah, like I told the guys, I wanted to bring you on because again, you went there. We met actually in Houston, Texas, at TSU when we used to live in the same dorm room, a couple of rooms down, and we would, I would come over to you and you, Tyrone Diggs, and my boy Abdul. We would go and watch ESPN in the morning, watch First Take.
Yep.
And then we'll go on to class and, take care of our business. And we also was there to play football at TSU.
For sure.
Yes, sir. So, of course, just wanted to give a shout out to TSU and also to Laney. Now, how do you feel about the episode or the season at Laney this year?
Oh man, I loved it. You know what I'm saying? It was tough that we couldn't, we didn't have a great season. You know what I mean? But it just brought back so much nostalgia for me. Just seeing Beam again, seeing everybody out there working hard, just the everyday life, you know what I'm saying, of going to school and going to play, you know what I'm saying, that's tough, you know what I'm saying, and man, I feel like they represented that really, really nice on this last chance too.
I definitely agree, and not just that. I think Netflix did a great job with making sure they incorporated the Bay, the soundtrack, the city, the also the gentrification. It showed what Oakland used to look like in the '70s to what it looks like now.
Yeah. It used to be all black. You know what I mean? Now it's like 50-50. It's crazy. Like me myself, I had to move out of Oakland, you know what I'm saying, from Oakland to Richmond, then from Richmond to where I'm at now in Vallejo, just because the rent was crazy. You know what I mean? The rent was just crazy. It kept skyrocketing. So now you go to Oakland and it's a whole different neighborhood. They building up new businesses, new places all over. I mean, it's nice. It's beautiful, but it's always been beautiful. So it's the same that it's like now it's like we came in a court to live here. You know what I'm saying? After we didn't put so much into community. It's tough. It's tough.
So the question: do you feel like they left anything out?
I feel like they left anything out. Nah. I mean, it was pretty authentic. Shit. They touched everything.
I know what they left out. What was Beast Mode at? I was waiting for a Marshawn Lynch appearance.
It seemed they had his gear. You know what I'm saying?
They did. But I needed to see the real Beast Mode. I need to see him drive around a cart somewhere. You know, I need to see the dreads flying.
He a Skyline dude. You know what I'm saying? He didn't get a Skyline dude. He motherfucking went to Old Tech or some shit.
Yeah. He went to Oakland Tech. Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So he didn't have no relation to the school like that. Besides, obviously, first of all, I don't want to say nothing bad about Marshawn. He does.
Because you can't. You can't.
Go for it. Go for it.
I will not say nothing bad about Marshawn. He's done so much for Oakland every year, in and out. You know what I'm saying? That's a real dude. As a matter of fact, funny story. He used to live in the same apartments that I lived in when I was going to Laney. So that was pretty cool. But other than that, yeah, he had no affiliation with Laney like that.
Okay, now let's talk a little bit about Coach Beam. Now, we talked about in the pre-show that you actually didn't play for him at the time when he was actually coaching. You said he was an athletic director at the time when you was there.
So he was the athletic director, but he also was the OC, the offensive coordinator.
Okay.
He was in charge of the entire offense when I was there. I don't even think so. The head coach at the time was Coach Cooch, and he was in charge of the defense. I don't think Cooch ever really even went to the offensive meetings. That was he ran the whole show back then. And but I played defense, so I didn't. My first introduction with Bean was when I was walking on to Laney. I went there to go try out. So, you went and had to do a bunch of drills or whatever. We ran the 40. When I ran the 40, I ran a 4.5. He was like, oh, you're fast, brother. And I was like, hey, I'm kind of fast or whatever. And he was like, you playing offensive defense? I was like, defensive, all right, you go for, playing fucking east or whatever. So that was like, man, Bean. My older brother, he used to run track at Skyline. And he knew Bean. All of Oakland know Bean. Everything's been respected way before this show. Like,
that's what they said on the show. They said he's the Godfather of Oakland.
Yeah, everybody knows John Duke. You know what I'm saying? That dude, he cool, man. He be active. I'm not quite sure how old he is, but like just last year, I was literally running 3-on-3 pickup basketball with him at Laney, and like he's D'ing up. You know what I'm saying? Pick and roll, all that, and he talking shit. He be talking shit with all that too, but that's just how he is, man. He a competitor. He been a competitor.
So you're saying he locked you down then?
No, I'm not gonna I just beam the business. He don't want no problem. But he was doing for an old man. No disrespect, man. He still cussed me out today.
I think he's my favorite coach of the series by far.
Yeah, he's tamed down a little bit since when I went, but he be yelling. He love to yell. You know what I'm saying? I remember he was playing. Somebody ran a go route. And I stayed with him the whole time. Good press. Ball was overthrown. I came to look. Ball was overthrown. Didn't throw it. And he yelled at me because I didn't locate the ball in time. And I was just like, damn. Like, okay. So he always wants to bring out the best. You know what I'm saying? And all his players. And he finds them. Like I'm saying, he's developed a lot of players into NFL players. You know what I'm saying? From Frank Summers at high school, he went to the league. To Atlanta, you had the corner Sterling Moore. He went to the league. Then you had C.J. Anderson. I played with him. He went to the league. He was under Bean. Chuck Jacobs, receiver. I played with him. He was under Bean. Went to the league. Like he makes real players. You know what I'm saying? It's but then at the same time, his main goal is just to get kids to universities. Like that's what it comes down to. Besides like the league, like you'll find every now and then, once every other year, somebody with talent to go to the league. But he's just trying to get kids scholarships. Like and that's what it's always been. You know what I'm saying with Laney.
And just to piggyback off what Ish was saying, when it comes to the coaches at the other schools prior to this season, I think we got a little spoiled watching East Mississippi Community College win and being able to gloss over the coach when it comes to what he was doing because it was working. But once we start seeing these other coaches, you know, perform the way that they do, either in Indy, Kansas City, or in Oakland, California, now you start seeing the different coaching styles, and now people that are not in football like that can say, maybe I don't like the way that Coach Brown coaches, but I like the way Coach Bean coaches, and I feel like unfortunately they did not have a successful season last year in 2019, but what it does is, of course, it helps you build for next year. And if you are a real coach, Coach Bean was in his 40th year, you're going to build off of that, and you're going to get better from that. And because every coach doesn't have a great successful year, you work off of those bad years to turn them into great years, and you use those great years to of course help recruit and turn them into even better years. But
I think that added to the season that they didn't do so well because unlike Indy and EMCC, where they got a lot of D1 bounce backs and everything, this season just seemed more like of a grind, more like the blue collar,
grit.
Grit behind it, because these aren't D1 bounce backs. These are dudes out here playing for their lives, trying to earn that spot on the D1. And for them to go out and grind the way they do, and the coaches having to deal with the turnover, because it's not like they're going to get blessed with a D1 bounce back next year. Like, they're going to have to go find another dude out there on the streets to come in and to contribute to the team. So it's like, dude, this is like real. This, to me, this season was all about real hard-nosed play, real hard-nosed coaching. It was just, it's the true kind of underdog story that you love to see. And that's what made this one so much better. Because EMCC, it was nice to see them win and everything. But it was like a lot of those dudes were D1 bounce backs that they didn't even really appreciate what they had going for them. Like, they were just out there just like, I'm going to play. I know I'm a ball player. I don't even want to be here. But like, these dudes were out here like, dude, I got to make it for not only myself, but for my family. And like, they were grinding, like that honest grind, bro. And that's what I love to see.
I definitely agree.
It's real. It's real. We don't have any bounce backs. Like, bounce backs that we get are local bounce backs. Kids that were raw in high school and then just didn't have the grades to go to Cal right out of, high school, or didn't go to San Jose State. So then they coming back. We ain't had nobody coming from the middle of Timbuktu to come to Laney. Like, that just wasn't happening. We homegrown, you know what I'm saying, from all around the Bay. All around the Bay. Yeah, and I love it. Love it.
And I'm happy that you brought that up, because of course they talked about that in the episodes about, like you said, that they have to pick these guys out of Oakland. They have, and it's not a bad thing, because usually that's how you recruit. You're supposed to recruit in your city first, and then of course spread out. But like they talked about, the other schools that are in that conference, they go Tennessee, Alabama, Texas, and get their guys to bring them in. You guys get your guys from the backyard of Oakland, and I think that was the best thing about this this season, like Ish said.
Yeah, for sure. There's the stadium's in the heart of Oakland, downtown. You know what I'm saying? We right there. So right across the street is a homeless camp. So it's real deal Holyfield. Ain't nobody staying on dorms or nothing like that. Everybody's coming from wherever they coming from, whether they got to take the park train, you know what I'm saying, or they got to walk and take the bus, or they driving an hour. You know what I'm saying? That's is what it is. You still expected to go to class. You still expect to be there on practice. No excuses for none of that.
Now, before I get you up out of here, what is one memory that you can share with us that you remember at Laney College, on the field or off the field?
Okay, one memory. Let me see. Man, there's so many.
Don't be shy now. Don't be shy. Let us know the good stuff. We need the good shit. We need the racket shit too.
We need that good shit. Need that blue magic.
I'll tell you one story that everybody from my freshman year in 2008 would remember. Okay, this is literally we're probably in spring, maybe summer camp, right? And we all in the huddle or whatever, the whole team. I think it's like towards the end of practice, right? And the head coach he's giving the speech like he do. And one of the big things they say, Elaine, we don't cut anybody. You're gonna cut yourself. Like we're gonna make you just want to quit. Basically, like that was their thing. And one of the questions that the coach had asked, like, let me just know right now. He was like, is there anybody here that doesn't want to play special teams? And this one dude raises his hand, and then the coach was like, okay, there's the gate. You can leave now. And the dude was like, what? And he was like, no, that's it. You're cut. And that kind of set the tone right there. And it was like, damn, like it's a real team thing. Like everybody, no matter who you are, like y'all everybody has their job. So they don't want to about special things. Dude was like 6'2", 220, like this, right? So I'm like, you don't want to play special teams, we don't need you here. And that's just that just speaks to the spirit of language to me.
No, I appreciate that story because that's real. That's real deal Holyfield. That's how you set the tone to be able to build a championship team. By letting people know that you are not higher than your position or even your number. Because a lot of players were upset after the numbers came out. Some people didn't want to be 46 or whatnot, or they said that there was an ugly number, but you are not bigger than the team. That's something all of us know about playing sports.
You went 10-2 and won the bowl that year, so. No problem.
Looks like it worked. Well, again, I appreciate you, Dick, for stopping by Kinfolk and Nem. You be safe out there in that Bay Area.
For sure, man. Y'all be safe wherever y'all at, Texas or wherever y'all at. You feel me? Be safe out there.
Already. Area. Yes, sir. Hey, there we go. Appreciate you, Dick. Stay safe out there, homie.
Right on, y'all. Y'all take care.
All right.
Blessings, King. Blessings.
Well, again, I appreciate Dick for joining our show tonight. Next topic that kind of ties to our last topic with Last Chance. You talked a lot about mental health in the Black community. And the big question we have tonight is, why is mental health in the Black community such a stigma still? Anybody want to start off?
I mean, I don't know. I just, feel like a lot of it is like not being raised to express your feelings. Like when I was growing up, my family dynamic was not one that was open to express feelings. So like we were always taught kind of keep it in and then just deal with it. So I can't speak for every living situation, and I can't speak for every family and how everybody else was raised, but like that's just kind of how it was with me. So like, and also the relationships that I saw, like the marriages and things I saw, weren't ones of communication. They were always, I guess dysfunction was until I went to college and started seeing healthy relationships. I didn't know like really what communication was all about until I got out of that bubble. So for me, I would say like it has a lot to do with how you're brought up, because how I was brought up was not one of communication and expressing your emotions. So I mean, that's what I have.
Go ahead, G2.
I feel like for me, especially in the Black community, we're all mostly, Christian Baptist background. A lot of people, when you tell your problems and stuff like that, they just tell you, oh, just go pray about it. When all actuality, that's not bad advice. You need to do the extra work with that, right? You need to put prayer with action. Prayer and just letting it sit there is not going to do anything. I feel like you need to pray, which is not a bad advice at all, but needs to be more action with it. You know what I mean? Like, go see a therapist, go see all these other things, right? But at the same time, back to the question, it's kind of like, being disgraced to talk about your mental health. And they're just going to, downplay it or be dismissive and say, hey, you need to go pray about it. But at the same time, You need to have prayer with action. That's my whole thing about it. It's just one layer of it that people touch on in the Black community, which is praying. And I think you need to do more than pray, in my opinion.
All right, all right. I'll just say my little tidbit right quick. Especially somebody that played football and also raised in a military family and whatnot. Same with Brett. His father, of course, military background as well. I think the way that the Black community is raised, of course, a lot of us is raised off of discipline, raised off of the discipline of also kind of unfortunately off of fear when it comes to you could be young and have a great idea or a great thought of whatever it is to change the world or change just your family dynamic, but because of who you are, a young child or even a young teenager, you don't know any better, so you have to stay in the child's place. And then when you're 18, you're apparently just thrust upon this adulthood so quickly, but you're still not even an adult yet because you've been getting treated like a kid for so long. How are you all of a sudden going to get? How all of a sudden, all of a sudden, you're going to be an adult in just a year when you've been treated like a kid for 17 years? And I think that is very weird to me when the Black community that you're so quick to thrust your family out at 18. And that's not everybody. That's not everybody. That's not even what happened with me. But from what I see with certain folks, a lot of people get thrust out into like we saw in Last Chance U, just hey, either school, work, or find a way instead of actually building together, kind of like you see with Hispanic families, like you see with Asian families, like you see with different African families as well. And I think that causes more and more mental trauma that we are not able to heal from before we're able to move forward.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
mean, I think all y'all hit on it a little bit. I think Brett's right from a standpoint of it's just like, for me, what I think, like he said, you're not taught to express your feelings. I think one of the things that we have a problem in this community, especially for men, right? So not just like the community in general, but especially with men, you're not taught to express your feelings. And if you do express your feelings, it's looked on as being soft, right? Like you'll get made fun of. Think about like growing up. If like a boy is crying, people are like, "Oh, boys aren't supposed to cry," and you're called soft, and you're called all these things. And it's like it teaches you, instead of learning to deal with that and heal and move forward, to hold all that inside. And then it creates so many different things that go along with that. So it creates resentment. It creates, self-doubt. It creates a lot of things inside of you that we are fostering because we're not teaching our kids how to handle these situations, how to be able to, cope with these things that they see, the trauma that they see. Because another problem we have in our community is we do get exposed to a lot of trauma early in our lives, and we just don't know how to cope with it because our parents don't know how to cope with it because they had trauma that they were never able to get over, right? Like they had a lot of situations that they didn't, their parents didn't help them through. So it's kind of like a cycle that we go through. And like Greg is saying, where they're like, "Oh, pray for it." There's a lot of people that their answer is just pray. But there are a lot of things that you need to do besides just praying. Yes, the Lord is going to help you. Yes, he can do so many things for you. But you also have to be able to go out and talk to somebody, whether that's to a mentor, to your parents, to a counselor. You got to be able to go out and express those things and get that out there so somebody can help you with it. Keeping it inside and being silent, that does not help you at all, man. And I think that's why we have the stigma, is because too many people don't want to be seen as soft. Too many people don't want to be like, "Oh, I got a problem. I have some mental problem or something," because you feel like people are going to judge you for it.
Right.
Well, to wrap all that into one, we live in a society where the standard of being man is thrust upon us at a young age, where cultures say you're a man at 14, you should have a job at this, that, and the third. But with children. We shouldn't be working. That's, child labor, things like that. So when we think of it in that term, so especially in the Black community, when that's all we've been manipulated to think is, you need to be out doing your own shit because ain't nobody gonna take care of you except for you. You know what I mean? And okay, what am I supposed to do? I'm supposed to be the man. What does that mean? That means I need to be I need to be here. I need to be there. I need to be doing this. But you don't even know what you're supposed to be doing, and you don't understand that you're collecting emotions. You don't understand that you have to react certain ways to certain situations. You know what I mean? You're not aware to how you're even being, you're not aware of your own self, and if you can't have some type of recognition of that at a young age, then that's really going to be detrimental. And it stems from a society that pushes so many labels on us, so many standards, with at the same time we only have a certain group and list of like limitations thrust upon us at the same time. And a lot of that, all that shit is intertwined, entangled with each other. The discipline, the fear, all that shit, the disgrace, the unawareness, people feeling like you soft because, oh, I don't want to say nothing about how I feel. That's all wrapped up in the same little bubble, in the same little box of what it means to be the standard of being a man. And when you have that, same with being sex, everybody being over sexualized, things of that sort, because and then we become desensitized at an early age because it's supposed to be this age. But now it's happening when motherfuckers is fucking 2 years old and shit, and shit like that. You know what I mean? So
it's a lot, Nap. It's a lot, and I just want to bring this up from Miss Susan Nolan. She's checking out the show, and we definitely appreciate her for doing that. Now she is a teacher in her own right. She's been in the school profession for, I want to say, more than 20 years, and she's seen a lot of Black kids in her time, to where she said herself, she said, I feel like it's a carryover of the past, generation to generation. Don't show weakness. The road is already hard, especially for Black men. Expressing feelings make you weaker, vulnerable. Now, what do you guys feel about that?
I mean, it hits the nail on the head. I mean, you don't want to be vulnerable. You can't be vulnerable, because if you're vulnerable, then you feel like people going to take advantage of you. People going to,
you're soft, you're weak.
Yeah,
well, it's not even necessarily about being soft or weak. I think it's more so that everybody understands we live in a world where people are fucked up. Maybe who's to say if people would still be as fucked up as they were if the system wasn't how it was? I can't say that if and or but at the end of the day, people have that mindset. So people have that fear in their head, and people are going to some degree, they don't want to look that way because that's what appeals to certain people, and this is what you're supposed to be. So that's how they're going to carry it. They don't know.
That's what I was going to say. You say that we live in a world where people are messed up or whatever, but it's like, how many of us are willing to go out there and put that out for everybody to know, like, I'm messed up, like I'm actually not as good as I make it out to be. Like, not very many of us are willing to go out there and just put ourselves on the limb and say, like, yo, I'm actually really messed up and I'm trying to work through some things and I need your help. Like, we just don't want to do that, and people don't want to do that. And I think social media has made it worse, because now we project these perfect lives to everybody.
Like nothing's wrong with us. Everything is good.
When in reality, people have terrible lives. But outside of social media, but on social media, everything look perfect, look good. They traveling everywhere. It looks like they bought they got all the newest gifts and whatever from somebody. But we just don't want to. People in general, we don't want people to know that we're messed up.
Mm-hmm. And regardless of what you believe, you can't manifest anything into reality without putting in the work, whether it's praying, meditating, whatever the case
working
may be,
out,
talking to whoever you need to talk to. You have to do the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual actions and hard fucking work to get what you want in this motherfucking life.
Now, I think also, like they talked about last chance you being talked about this generation being an instant gratification type of generation, and I don't think they're talking about us, because we about to hit 30s or whatnot. I think they're talking about 24 and below,
Don't say
maybe.
that too loud.
What?
Don't say that
Yeah,
too loud.
stop putting my
Don't
business
say
out
that
there.
too loud. Don't put the age out there too loud, my nigga. I'm still on my
Anyways,
I'm
all
on my
right.
period, my nigga.
My bad. Greg 21. Okay,
Let's not do
Greg
that.
21. So,
Okay,
I
Greg.
look 21.
anyways,
I look 21. Aging like wine, baby. I'm aging like wine, baby.
Put that down.
that was a
Yeah,
horrible
please.
transition. Horrible transition. Horrible.
nigga.
Put that down, please.
So, as we can see in the black community, even though we have to deal with tough
We are
topics, we
not
still
drinking
find some
wine.
way, to laugh
wine.
about it. Still find some way to, of course, smile and keep moving. Is that correct? What's up, Brett?
I mean, we always will, as a human being. You're taught to persevere and keep going. Like no matter what's going on, you're always taught to keep pushing, no matter what.
Resiliency.
And especially as an athlete, you battle adversity, and no matter what's going on, you always keep going. And I know that's always been engraved in me and you guys as well. Like you get knocked down, you get back up. And I mean, especially with us being black men, right? It's like you're automatically knocked down, right? But you're constantly getting back up every day, right? But what I was going to ask you guys is that do you guys think that I know that for the most part we've all had like our dads, in our lives, right? But do you think that a lot of this comes from not having the dual parent household?
Yeah. I think I can see why somebody will say that.
No.
I see why somebody will say that.
Niggas got mental health issues regardless.
That is a fact. That is a fact.
Regardless.
But I feel like with both parents in the household, you do decrease a lot of the problems that you would have in a single parent household.
Yeah.
A lot of statistics.
That's
not every situation. And I don't want to be the guy to speak for every situation because that would be pretty ignorant of me. But it's on the stats. Having two parents in the household makes situations that you go through in life decrease on a negative level. Decrease. Just saying.
So my reasoning behind that is because like for me, right, I always had my mom and my dad have always been there, right? Or in camera. My mom and my dad have always been there. But I haven't seen healthy relationships is what I'm saying. So the mental health part of that is like coming from a divorced family, I never really saw what it was like to be healthy, right? My mom was always by herself, and then my dad married my stepmom, but I've never get too much into personal business, like not necessarily a healthy relationship. So, like growing up, like we don't see these things, and then we look to TV, what we see in in Hollywood and movies, stuff like that, to what we think is healthy. But that is, as you guys know, Hollywood's messed up. So I'm not going to go down that road. For sure.
Yeah, so I mean, I think part of it can be attributed to that, and I think part of it can't, because even some of these households that have both parents in the household,
they're still messed up.
Yeah, because you're still kind of reliant on your parent understanding how to handle their own trauma, right? Like the video we were watching, we passed around in the group or whatever, he's talking about like you dealing with your own mental trauma before you have your kids, before you get married and stuff. And I think part of that is like the previous generation, a lot of our parents in, their generation, they never really knew how to handle the trauma that they faced. So like them trying to teach us how to handle trauma, it just doesn't work out because they don't know. They don't have those actual, healthy ways of handling that. So even if you have two parents in the household, if your parents don't understand how to handle their own trauma, it's going to be hard for them to teach you how to handle the trauma of today. Because one of the things that, with me starting to have kids and everything, one of the things that you will have to realize is times change as you get older and as your kids grow up. So like the problems that we're facing now, while we face certain things and we had certain traumas in our childhood, the same thing isn't going to be what my daughter or my son are going to face, right? They're going to face totally different situations. And I may be able to provide a little bit of guidance, hoping that, you know, I was able to deal with my trauma. I was able to become a better person. So maybe I can help them through that, but I won't be able to 100% understand exactly what they're going through. And that's some of the challenges you have, regardless if you have one parent, two parents, it doesn't really matter.
I agree. So that goes into what Greg was saying real quick. So that's why it's super important to have mentors, right? You know, if you are a believer and you are going to church, that's why it's super important to have small groups. That way you have that community of most likely people your age. You know, growing up as a kid, you probably want to put them in like a youth group, something like that. That way there are people who are going through what they're going through and that they can talk to. Because like you said, Ishmael, right? You know, even me having a 9-year-old, right? He's going through things that like I never had to at 9 years old. So like I can try my best to comprehend and understand what he's going through, and you know, try and help him through that. But if he has another 9-year-old that's going through the same things that he's going through, or a 10-year-old, whatever, in that age range, that always helps more when you have that community, you know, within your age group, or that has gone through similar things that you've gone through recently, to more direct you through them, rather than, you know, a parent, you know, being even, you know, 15, 16 years might not seem like a lot, but I think about how much you learn and grow and go through in 15 to 16
How much
years.
technology evolves.
Yeah, you know, it's like when we were 9 years old, we were playing Sega, you know, saying going outside. There was no internet, right? But now, you know, internet is at the, you know, tip of their fingers, and you know they have the switches and they have the tablets and all those things that they can see everything. And honestly, having a 9-year-old right now in this generation sucks, like, because you know they can be on YouTube Kids watching something about, you know, building Legos, and all of a sudden the ad pops up, and now he's like, "What is this?" You know, and now you have to go through those situations and talk through those things. So, you know, it's a whole new world out here, man. Like, especially with technology. Technology is awesome and great. We've done a lot of good things with it, but at the same time, man, it can mess people up. You know,
Then also, you know, I don't want to go, you know, we can get to the next topic after this if y'all want, but I just want to ask you guys, I know it might be a crazy question to ask, but what is your definition of healthy? Because everybody's definition of a healthy relationship, healthy, you know, camaraderie is different from the next person. So that's where it gets a little tricky at that, because what is your definition of healthy? You know what I mean? I don't want to ask that question and get too touchy and feely on it, but that's a real question to ask, because my definition of healthy might be different from everybody else's.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think everybody has their own definition, just like you said. But at the same time, like, you also have to be cognizant and aware of, you know, like who you are, and like your self-awareness, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You know, if you're going through stuff, and if you're not in a good place, you know, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, things like that, like, you know, you have to recognize that. And as a black man, like 9 times out of 10, you don't necessarily ask for help. You try and deal with it because that's what we've always been taught. But
that's right.
You know, but we have to do better as a community of, you know, not criticizing people when they ask for help, not, you know, putting people down when they ask for help. Like, if somebody asks for help, that's also like, that's a sign of strength. Like, you know, in class, if you actually raise your hand and ask a question, that should be praised, because you're trying to learn and you're trying to grow, right? But instead, you're like, if you don't understand something and you ask a question, like, the kids will call you stupid, they'll call you dumb. How you not understand that? Blah blah blah. And then the kids are gonna ask the question next time. No,
I was one of those people that made fun of people that ask questions. So
me too at times.
But
you know. But what I'm saying is, like, especially as a parent, right? Ishmael, me and you, right? When a kid asks a question and is trying to learn, you know, we can't push them down, because then, one, they're not going to trust us anymore, and two, like, we want them to be able to be comfortable enough to ask a question and try and learn and try and grow. And we have to do the same thing with us. Like, if, you know, one of you guys asks for help, why would we make fun of you for trying to seek help? Like, you know,
Facts.
We have to do that more as a community as well, and not just with our kids.
But that starts with becoming aware of that, and if
Of
you're
yourself,
not
too, yeah.
aware of that, you know what I mean, and that whether that takes a mentor making you aware, you getting involved with something, I don't know. There's so many things to do just as far as staying motivated and focused to do
Absolutely.
something better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
No,
We'll go ahead and move on. Yeah, go ahead, X.
And I definitely agree with everything you guys saying. And I just want to give a shout out to Mohammed Sharif. We definitely appreciate you for checking out Kinfolk and Nem. He said, regarding mental health, he's a schizophrenic is here. Ask me anything. Right now, I don't really think we have any questions to ask you, but we definitely appreciate you for letting us know about your condition, because I know that's something that a lot of people probably don't want to tell people. That
We might have
to,
to circle back in a future episode and bring them on.
We definitely can. We definitely can. So we appreciate you, Muhammad, for checking out on YouTube. And also people checking out on YouTube. We have Paige saying Pinot Grigio sipping okay. So shout out to that, Paige. Shout out. Now, speaking of relationships, how should bill splitting go in a marriage? Now, we've seen on social media, we saw a couple of memes that talked about, if a woman should take care of, a man should take care of this, of course, if a woman is doing this, or because of the way that things are nowadays, maybe bills should be split like this and like that. What do you guys have to say about that?
I ain't paying shit. No, I'm kidding.
I would love to go first on it. I don't know control or not.
Hey, before we start off the topic as well, Muhammad also said thank you, and no problem, Muhammad.
Yeah, Muhammad, we appreciate you, man.
Oh yeah,
no problem. So go ahead, Greg, start us off.
So I feel like it was a really tricky question. It's a good question, but it's very tricky. The reason why I say that is because I feel like I've had these conversations a lot, right? So say for instance, I'm married, right? I'm married to somebody, and she makes $120,000 a year. I make $80,000, right?
I want to get that down.
I don't know what you said, but I don't know what you said, but I can barely hear you. But anyways, it gets kind of tricky because okay, she makes more money than me, but at the end of the day, I'm a man. I have this pride in me that I want to be a provider. Naturally,
so don't.
Every man is like that. But I'm just saying, for me, I would like to be able to provide, right? So let's just say in that situation, I feel like I wouldn't say 50-50 because I think that's a little bit but I feel like, I should take care of the mortgage, the rent primarily. Then she can do everything else, the household things, the electricity and stuff like that. But again, everybody's situation is different. And then I believe everybody's situation should not be judged. I think that is the number one thing that we all need to look at in this topic. Everybody's situation shouldn't be judged. Everybody has different salaries, different outside variables that works for them. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel about it.
So nobody got the right to judge nobody's nothing because don't nobody know how or what the fuck is actually going on in this world. So if anybody got anything to say about what you and yours got going on, tell them to fuck
them. Exactly.
Fuck them. Regardless of what you believe and what you got going on. Now, with that being said, whatever relationship you decide to have with your significant other, that's what y'all decide to have. You can be a Fortune 500, 5,000, whatever you fuck call them company. Fortune 500 company.
Wow.
Indy 500 looking ass.
Indy 500 race.
Keep going. Keep going.
And your wife doing the same thing. And y'all decide, money ain't nothing to us. Y'all make a little account together. Y'all do some. Or maybe you just, since we ain't really worried about money, this gonna come out your shit, this gonna come out my shit. That's just how it is. Or I'm gonna do all of this, you're gonna do all of that. That's something you gotta communicate about and not just be set in this standard of I'm the man or I'm the woman. I have to do this, I have to do that. Because people want to do other things with their lives. You could be the man or the woman. You don't necessarily want to be bogged down with trying to pay all the bills solely by yourself. So that's why you have someone that you can split the bills with. It's a marriage, my nigga. Work the shit out together, communicate and whatnot. You feel me?
Well, last time I checked, when it comes to being in a marriage, I thought it was a partnership. So
Right.
being a partner with somebody, I would think that's you need help from each other. Like the mindset of our parents before, it was always the male. The male had to pay for this, pay for that, and the woman get courtship. But especially us, as we're speaking from black males, how many black males that besides if they played in the league, that just got money like that to tell a chick, hey, come on, you coming with me, unless they in the league or they selling drugs. It's so many. It's not that many black males that are in their 20s that's making $100,000 or six figures plus. Besides tech companies. So
Right. Them Forex niggas think they balling.
they not balling like that. I promise you.
I'm just saying, that's what they tell us. I don't know what this in their bank accounts. Them Forex niggas be balling, apparently.
Another topic for another day.
I mean, so I agree with Napro and Greg. Nobody should look on anybody's situation to make any judgment, because whatever you decide in your relationship is up for you and your own. Y'all do what y'all want to do. But I will say, for me, it's a mindset thing, right? So if you're talking about in a marriage, it should be, like you said, a partnership, but it also is like, it's a team. So what I have is yours, what you have is mine. So it's not like I'm paying the bills and you're not doing something. Like, to me, it's all about like we as a collective are working together to reach a financial goal, right? So it doesn't matter whose paycheck is paying for what. At the end of the day, everything is going into one pot. So like we all working for the same goal. And it don't matter. I don't care if it's you're paying for the bills and we're saving mine or what you got going on. I think that's how the mindset is. We are working towards this goal. However we achieve that, that's how we go about doing that, right? Now, if you're talking about people dating, that gets into some different situations because, like you guys were saying, one of the things that people tend to ignore is the fact that there is a such thing as generational wealth, right?
Thanks.
And in the black community, it is rare to see a family that has they have gotten enough wealth that they were able to save for their kids, to pay for their college. And so they got spending money. Because most of us, if not everybody that I grew up with, when you go to college, if you don't have a full ride scholarship, you are working to go to college. You are working just to have food, right? So how many of those people are just have money to spend to say like, oh, I'm going to pay all these bills for somebody else, right? Like, you don't. So that's a conversation between you and the person you're with, and understanding both of y'all's situations and where y'all are coming from, because you may not have $1 to your name. How are you then going to, whether you're a man or a woman, say, I'm going to take the responsibility for somebody else and go try to pay for all their bills or all their food? Like, you can't do that. That doesn't even make sense financially for you. It's not going to help you mentally. It's not going to help your studies. It's not going to help you in a lot of ways. So there are too many factors for anybody to say, like, make a blanket statement and say, you as a man, you should pay all the bills.
Well, I think that goes back into, like we talked about before, the generational trauma of black men not being able to, like you said, like we all said, express themselves, and not also realizing and understanding, like, hold up, why do I have to do this and that? And I'm not saying you don't have to. I'm not saying the provider, as a man, you're supposed to provide, period. That's something that's going to be, from the beginning of time to the end of time. But to have to pay for the housing, the food, your nails, your this, your that, and as a woman just sit around and not do anything, of course, I don't think that happens too often in a working class relationship. Maybe in a wealth gap relationship where you have millions of dollars upon millions of dollars and you can do that. But if you're somebody making 45,000 a year, I'm pretty sure you're not going to say, "Hey, sweetheart, you can sit and make sure that the house is taken care of." I guess the bare minimum.
Question though.
Answer.
Why is it that we say as a man you have to provide?
That's what I'm saying.
Why do we force that upon little boys
now,
or whatever to say you
look,
must provide as a man?
I got you
enforcing that standard right now.
And what is provide? What do you mean by provide?
Because you're saying it like regardless.
Now I'll say this. Look. That's one thing that a lot of women will say is that they want equal rights. They want to be equal and equal this and equal that. A lot of people feel like women are as equal to men, especially in the wage gap, which is of course not true. So, like you said, Ish, why does a man have to provide when if you are a woman and you feel like you are equal to a man, you should be able to do the same thing as well?
Well, I'm not even saying it from that standpoint. What I'm saying it from a standpoint of, why? First off, why are we forcing a role of like the man has to be the provider? And my main reason of saying that is because I'm a father of a little girl, and my daughter right now, even at 3.5, always talks about wanting to be a doctor, wanting to do all these things, right? Like I will be damned if anybody, let alone a man, a boy, anybody who wants to date her, a teacher, tells her that her role is to be in the house or to do anything like that. If my daughter wants to be a mom and she wants to be a doctor, she can be a doctor, out earn her husband, whatever. I don't care. He can be a stay-at-home dad. I'm not going to look down on him because my daughter decided she wanted to be a doctor and they decided his best role was to be in the house because she was doing what she wanted to do. Like we should not be, we should not limit what these girls can do, and we shouldn't be forcing these boys into situations where we're telling them you are a failure if your wife wants to have a career, and what makes sense is for you to be in the house because y'all need somebody to take care of these kids because maybe you don't have the kind of time that y'all afford a daycare or something. And so now we're going to tell this boy you're a failure because you're going to support your wife's career. Like, everybody's situation is different. Let's stop with these blanket statements of, oh, a man must provide, because you can provide by supporting your wife while she's doing what she wants to do and doing what's best for your family and being in the house doing other things like taking care of your kids, making sure your kids are doing their homework, making sure that the house is clean, doing all these things that we're trying to domesticate a woman and say a woman should be doing this. Like, no. The person who it works best for should do that. And it can still be a team thing. Both my wife and I work. That don't mean that because my wife works and she's a woman and I'm working, that I'm going to come home and be like, oh, you need to wash the dishes. Dude, I wash the dishes all the time because I know that she's just as tired as I am. And it don't matter who washed the dishes. At the end of the day, the dishes need to be washed. Like, why is it we going to say a woman should wash the dishes? Right. Like that, this is the backwards thinking that we have got to get rid of. Too many people want to continue in this way of thinking of, oh, well, a man's got to take out the trash. A man's got to mow the yard. No, do what is best for your family. Y'all talk about it and figure out what works best for you, because what works best for me may not work best for you.
Now, could we please get these DJ Clue drop bombs right now? I wish we could pow, 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 pew, 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 bang. And also hashtag girl dag for that one as well, because Ishmael, man, on some real talk, that was beautiful. What you just said right there, that was beautiful.
Yeah, I really can't even follow that, but I'll try my best. Shoot,
you can't.
I can't, honestly. You did a really good job.
Don't try.
I'm definitely gonna try always. But speaking from another married perspective, when it comes to splitting the bills, like me and my wife have a shared bank account, right? So whatever she brings in is going to the same pot. Whatever I bring in, right? And so just like what Nap said, it's all about communication, right? So luckily, my wife has as good a job as I do, so now we're about even, whatever. But I mean, I was making more, and at one point, but that didn't degrade her from what she was making. Like it all went to the same. Like when our bank account hit zero, because we were paying off stuff, our bank account hit zero, not mine, not hers, right? And so, just like what Ishmael said, it's that same pot, right? It's we, not I, not her, and everything that we buy. Like when we go to the when we go out to eat, sometimes like she'll say, "I'll get the bill," right? But she's handing them our debit card. So like for each situation is completely different. Ours happens to be 50-50, right? So it doesn't matter, right? If the only thing that will switch up is like if we put like the electric bill in her name and the cable bill in mine. That way we're building our credit. Like that's the only thing that's different. But I mean, outside of bill paying, like it's my USA card, her USA card, it comes from the exact same place. So I mean, I think especially as a marriage, my personal stance is that you should have a shared bank account, because like if you don't, it's almost like you're hiding something from the other person. But that's just my personal opinion. A lot of people don't believe that. A lot of people think what's mine is what I make is what I make, and what you make is what you make. I also think that causes division, because like if you want to go out and buy a new car, say, oh well, it's my money, so I'm gonna go buy a new car, and then now something happens and now you have to pull from each other. Well, now it can be like, well, you bought that car with your money, why are you taking from mine? But like if you guys have a shared bank account, now like everybody sees everything. If there's a purchase that you dispute, right, now you can talk about it. Say, hey, why'd you what I'm saying, why'd you spend $100 on those workout pants, something like that, right? Lululemons, my wife loves those, but it's like one of those things like, hey, why'd you spend that much on those? But then it forces you to have those conversations, But when you have your own bank account, you kind of do what you want. You can hide purchases, things like that. If you, hopefully not, but if you ever do something, like I don't know, like cheating on your wife, like you have your own bank account, right? And so like she'll never see those those charges. But like if you have a shared bank account, it also brings accountability that everything I do that she sees. So there's almost that that accountability aspect, and it also brings trust. Like she knows that I'm not going to go do anything crazy. One, because I'm cheap, and you guys know that. But two, two.
I'm so glad you said it. I'm so glad you said it.
Okay. But two, like she also knows that like if I go out and buy a new PlayStation or Xbox, whatever, right?
You would never do it.
That it's coming out of ours, So like it's now I'm spending her money too, so I have to be more accountable to what I spend on, because I know I'm spending her money as well. That she's also working just as hard for it, So like when you have the separate bank accounts, like you kind of lose that aspect of like, I mean, sorry, it's all about the communication, and it's all about how you guys work it out. But for me, I think if you have separate bank accounts, you lose that aspect of accountability when it comes to like the dual partnership of everything. Now you can, right? How you guys work it out? I pay for rent, you pay for utilities, however that works. For you guys, it's fine. But like for me, I think that especially in a marriage, and I say marriage because now you're one, right? It's a unity, and so I say that the joint is the best idea only because you're supposed to be one anyway. And money is honestly one of the things that is like the leading cause of divorces. One of them is money, and I think that if you have a joint bank account, you're almost alleviating that aspect of it. Not fully.
Well, Neil, he says right in half. Now, again, I don't know if he's listened to what we said in the past 5 minutes or whatnot, but I mean, if you have a spouse that that makes enough money on both sides to where you can both do that, then hey, you can. But I think some people have to realize that everybody's life is not like theirs. So just because you said right in half, Neil, or Brett says, or Ish says, one way or another, everybody's personal life is different, and everybody has to go about it a different way. Correct?
Facts.
All right.
Actually.
All right. So, of course, last topic of the night: The Rock buying the XFL.
I'm trying to get in that thing.
a lot of people, of course, commented and said that apparently The Rock is doing what he did in Ballers, apparently what he's doing in real life, and that's going ahead and purchasing the XFL with his group for $15 million. And I don't know if you guys read the article, but apparently he will be it will be ran with his ex-wife. They said with The Rock. So even though they're divorced, they still out there making money together, and that's the best type of relationship to have. Am I right?
Communication, man.
Yes, sir. Communication. So what you guys think about the XFL trying to come back? I mean, I really don't know exactly where this is going to go, but again, from what I've read, the XFL still does not have the TV deals as of right now. So it seems like he's just purchasing, unfortunately, what it looks like right now, an organization, and AKA a dump. So, Greg?
I have a question for everybody. So, how many times has the XFL tried to like be a league? I guess
this would be the third.
This would be number 3.
Yeah, this would be the third.
Yes.
This reminds me. First, let me get into the positive before I get into talking my shit. Shout out to The Rock. I think we all have aspirations of investing in something that's worth millions. Obviously, the XFL is worth millions, so he made an investment on it. I wish I had the money like that. Hopefully one day I can manifest that, and we can all come together and bring our money together and invest in something like that. So shout out to him. He's living the dream. I wish I had it like that. Maybe one day. But my question I just asked you, and I got an answer. It's a third time XFL has tried to become a league. I think it's a bad investment. I don't think the XFL is going to last long. I have a bet. If anybody wants to make a bet, will it last more than 2 years? I highly doubt it. Ken, shout out to him. I don't have it like that to make $1 million of investment on it, but I don't think it's going to last long. It's been proven that it hasn't been lasting long. So,
I'll just say a little something right quick. Again, unfortunately, Vince McMahon, before the season started last year with the XFL, he was supposed to be putting in $350 million into the XFL, and with it pretty much folding before the season even ended, I just don't know where this is going to go. Maybe The Rock being the guy might help drive viewership across across the United States and also overseas, because he's the most electrifying man in sports, as he likes to proclaim. But I think the XFL last year, that was his best shot. I think that was his best shot to do anything, and I don't know, man. I really cannot say that it's going to be I honestly think that it's going to be more of a bust than it's going to be a boom.
Yeah, I say fuck no. It's just not gonna last more than 2 years. Shout out to The Rock, though.
But $15 million though, I know like for us $15 million is a lot, but $15 million is not really that much of an investment if you're talking about a league. Now I'm not talking about like just $15 million is chump change, but when we're talking about buying a league, $15 like to buy the name and all that stuff, that's nothing. Especially it's like how big it was then. I do think though, like I don't know. I think it has a shot because last year, everybody watched it. It was like you said, its best shot so far. But I think if The Rock can do it right, I think that.
Can't even say that with a straight face.
Yeah,
because
you wildin'.
Nah,
go ahead, Ish.
Y'all are discounting the fact that the pandemic was part of the reason why
that too
the league stopped. So like, it's not like it just folded just because it folded. Like they were doing okay numbers. They weren't doing great numbers.
The viewership was okay, like you said, but I think it had everything more to do with actual attendance in other places besides Houston. Houston was selling out most of its games, but other places like LA, Seattle, they showed out for a couple games, but after that, they have the Seahawks. They don't really care too much for the Seattle team, especially if you're not winning.
And that's the thing. Like you're gonna have to get the buy-in from people, and it's just whether or not you're gonna get that spring buy-in. Spring football is just it's such a hard sell because there are a lot of other things that are going on.
I mean,
Yeah, people love football,
I
but
don't
people
agree with that
love.
though, Ish. I don't agree with that honestly.
I'm
I
not fucking.
think I think honestly, spring is a really good time for developmental football. It doesn't have to be NFL football, but it gives people an opportunity to casual fan because I've seen it now twice ish in San Antonio and also in Houston with the AAF and also now with the XFL that people will come to football stadiums here in Texas and watch D3 football, as people like to call it, or whatnot.
And that's the
Because
problem.
they are bored. They ain't got nothing else to do during
No,
the springtime.
that's the problem.
There's other people in other places, like you said, that can go off and go golf and go do their other spring sports and don't care for football during the spring. But there's people like Texas, Alabama, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, California that want football year round.
Dude, that's the problem. You only have these states that are in the South that are traditional football states that are really diehard, that are going to sell out for a developmental league. The problem you have is as soon as you tag a league as developmental, that has cheapened. You have cheapened your product. Like your product has immediately become inferior to the NFL, right? Which then says what to the casual fan? It's not the greatest football to watch.
Okay, so you tell me, hold up, you telling me minor league baseball isn't popular amongst small cities in the United States? You telling me the G League basketball isn't what it's trying to get to as in an actual real league? You can reach all you want to.
I'm telling you, how many minor league baseball games do you see on national TV? How many G League games do you see on national TV?
Yeah.
Developmental leagues are not the kind of leagues that Americans want to tune in to watch. So you're going to have a problem outside of the diehard fan. You're going to have a problem getting casual fans to watch spring football, especially when you're tagging it as developmental football, because you're basically telling them we're getting kids that aren't the greatest in the sport. They're not the best, but they're okay. And we're going to give you this product that you need to tune in for an hour to watch or so. Diehard fans going to tune in. Casual fans, not so much.
And then on top of that, to bring everything in, what the hell are they going to do post-COVID? What are they going to do? When is the next time they have fans in the stands? They're not going to be like the NBA and have a bunch of fucking people on their computers or on their phone watching the games, and they're going to be in the background. XFL ain't gonna have no money like that to do all that shit. The NFL, we don't know what the NFL is gonna do post-COVID with all this COVID shit going on.
That's a good point.
XFL, come on, dog. This shit's gonna be a fucking fail.
Well, if you know any better, COVID is going to end around November 3rd. So I don't know what you're talking about.
I also think that it doesn't have to come back next year. Like.
It doesn't.
They
can buy their time. They can buy their time.
It doesn't.
Wait 2 years.
Literally, the XFL can come back whenever it wants.
That's what it did. It waited 20 years to come back again. Shit. I mean, what's another 3?
Here's the problem, X. This is the problem you're gonna have with any league, especially with like a football league, right?
Break it down.
You're gonna have is, especially if you're trying to put these teams in cities that already have NFL teams. You're just not going to have the same kind of buy-in or the same kind of hunger for football that you have in other places. I'll use soccer for an example. In other places outside of America, there are teams in like the second division, third divisions of soccer in other countries that they do really well. They do really well because they have a diehard fan base that it doesn't matter if my team's a developmental team or in the second or third division. Like, we just love this team so much. We're going to support them. We're going to come out for them. You don't have that in America. That's the same reason why we don't have multiple leagues like promotion and relegation in soccer here in the US, because you don't have that kind of loyalty here in America. Yes, people are loyal to
I want to disagree with you on the football aspect. I think
NFL teams.
That's what I was going to get at to NFL. You telling me if the Washington football team, you telling me if they have a developmental football team, you telling me that the Washington football team fans would not root for them?
No.
I don't agree with that.
No.
I don't agree with that. I think because I think the Houston Roughnecks was the developmental team for the Houston Texans, and we had a whole bunch of Roughnecks. I see all the time Roughneck shirts, Roughneck stickers, and all that good stuff.
Where?
You better go, you being humble. You don't even be out here in Houston like that.
Don't shout out my location.
I say you be out of there.
Don't shout out my location. Where, nigga? Where you see that shit at?
I saw it a couple of days ago. I saw a Houston Roughneck sticker on 45 in Imperial Valley area.
So specific.
You asking where? I tell you where.
The nigga good with his directions and areas. He
Thank you, Nap. You know I know my directions.
I see Renegade stuff out here too, though.
Thank you, Brett. It's
okay. Where at, Brett?
XFL stuff is out.
Again, y'all are using extreme examples because Texas is an extreme example.
But
Texas is not the right place to use as an example because yes, people are like obsessed with football in Texas. Tell me how many of the Birmingham or whatever other teams they had out there, how many people out there are dying for those teams to be back? I don't think they are.
Omaha, Nebraska has a very good fan base for football.
Nebraska as a state, yes, definitely has a big fan base.
What I'm talking about. He played out in Nebraska before.
But that's the thing. Certain states have very loyal fan bases to their sports. Philadelphia, I'm sure if they had like a fucking.
They had the Philadelphia Soul Arena football team. Of course,
but they do have, and they do support the Philadelphia.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, there are certain sports cities: Baltimore, Philly, LA, Chicago, even shitty ass Detroit. When they're winning, I said it. When they're winning,
New York,
they don't deserve that. Come on, man.
I'm sorry. Anyways, when they're winning, they support the team. Again, like I mean, of course, the teams. I ain't talking about the actual city. I mean the shitty ass Detroit teams. When the Detroit teams are winning, even when they're losing, I see people in Houston wearing Detroit Lions gear all the time, and I run up to them and say, "Hey, you must be from Detroit," because there's no way in hell I'm wearing Lions gear. Period. But you have to be from Detroit to love that team. And again, I think that goes amongst everybody from the East Coast to the West Coast. If we was to have another XFL league, and they put teams in like Birmingham, Alabama, Des Moines, Iowa, Omaha, Nebraska, Sioux Falls, Iowa. I'm sorry, Sioux Falls, Idaho.
Portland can have a football.
Portland, Wyoming. I promise you, I feel like it would sell. And of course, you have to have domes. You have to have domes in some of those places. But I think that it will sell over going to those big cities and starting off in the Houstons and the LAs and the Seattles or whatnot. That's just my mindset on that one.
They can do good, but are they gonna make a profit? That's what matters.
Is it gonna last?
You're 100% correct. No, that's
a positive. On a positive side, not in the red.
But here's the thing, though. You have to be able to invest in money that you know you're going to lose. If you start this business, you have to know that you're going to lose this money before you even see a profit. A lot of business people don't want to wait that long to see a profit on their return on their investment that they put in. So I understand completely where you guys are coming from on that, because you are right. Now, if it takes 5 years to see your return on investment, some people are like, nah, I'm good. I can go and invest in real estate and make that money twice as fast, in shorter time span. So it's just be very interesting to see where the XFL is going to go. And Brett, before we get up out of here, you got something to say?
Yes, sir. What I was gonna say is it all depends on how long it's around, right? And so if you have a team that's in a city for 3 to 4 to 5 years, they're gonna build a fan base, right? The reason why the NFL has a fan base for those teams,
it's been around since the 60s.
They've been there, right? And so, with the XFL, with the arena teams, you have teams popping up here and there, and of course you're not going to have a fan base, right? Because they haven't been there. So if you have a team or a new league that's in a Birmingham, that's in a San Antonio, that's in a wherever, right? If they're there for more than a year, maybe 2 to 3, they're gonna have a fan base. Because then what happens, and I can speak to this because I've been in it with Arena. The you go into schools, you volunteer, you network, you sell advertisements and all those things around the community, and that's how you build the fan base. You give out free tickets just to have people come. Whether you're good or bad, people want to be entertained, right? And when I was in New Mexico for a little bit, the team was terrible, but the city loved it because we were always in the community, we were always volunteering, we were always in the schools, we were always doing stuff, and that's what it takes. Like, you see, not in the NFL necessarily, but the NFL is also always in communities. They're always doing things because they want to build the fan base, and that's what it's going to take for any league to survive wherever it is to be in the community. And if you expect just to have a team just for people to show up, unless you're in one of those big cities, it's not going to work. You have to always get into the community to build the relationships because people want to be able to relate to you, and that was one of the good things I think about the XFL is that people were starting to relate to the players because you had all the sideline interviews. You heard the things that were mic'd up. You were able to hear things a lot more. So you were able to kind of like relate to the players, but you also saw them outside of just on the field, right? And that's what it's going to take. Whatever league pops up, whatever in the future, there's always going to be spring leagues that pop up, but it's going to take teams being in the schools, walking around, volunteering at the shelters, prisons, whatever that is. Go ahead, X. Go ahead.
It takes that, I agree, but also I think what changes the game more than anything is social media. I think social media is going to help any organization, and if anything, it needs to help Major League Baseball. That's the first sport that social media needs to help more than anything.
Major League Baseball needs to go ahead and just die.
They just
need to go ahead and die.
But I think the XFL, they're able to do it a certain way, and like they did the past year with promoting through social media and making it more fun and just making it different, not making it as stuck up as the NFL is. The Shield, making it more fan interactive. I think that was the best way that they were able to build the fan base, and they can do that in real life and also on social media because that's the easiest and best way to be able to grab the younger folks.
They have a good product. So there's no dispute that the XFL has a good product. The problem is, are they going to make enough money to stick around to do the things that Brett is saying? Like, Brett, I agree. That's how you get more fans. That's how you build your fan base. That's how you're going to get the attendance up. But the problem is that we've seen with these spring leagues is they're not making enough money to stay around after 1 year. Because, yeah, it's all cool and well to say, like, okay, we're going to work towards building these fans. But the problem is, no disrespect, you talking about the team in New Mexico for Arena League is not putting out the kind of money XFL is putting out to be on Fox, to be on ESPN. They're not paying the kind of salaries that XFL is trying to pay for these players that are like close to being in the NFL, just got cut off a team. Like, they're having to put money into these players. They're putting money into the infrastructure to broadcast these games, stuff like that. They need immediate return on investment. They are not going to be able to just stick around and grind for 2, 3, 4 years. So that's the problem you have with any spring league. Like, the barrier to entry is so high that if you don't get an immediate return, you're going to fold. That's why we can't get a spring league. It's not that the product is bad, because XFL, I actually enjoyed watching a lot of the games. I like the change they did to the kickoff. I like the, like you were saying, the interviews on the sideline. Somebody make a play, they out of breath, they don't know what to say, they cussing on live interviews. Dude, all of that was genuine. It was nice to see. It's good product, but will they be able to make the money to stick around for multiple years so that we can get to, see it longer? I don't know.
But I mean, I also think that there are people out there who have the money to do that, right? So it's gonna take you networking with somebody who has the deep pockets. Because like, even if saying we had 10 people together, we still win, right? But it would take somebody who has those type of pockets to commit to 3 to 4 years, no matter what, to make one of these leagues work. And I think, a lot of people, they might commit for 1 to 2, but 1 or 2 isn't. That's not really a commitment when it comes to sports, especially trying to establish a team. So it's going to take somebody saying, "Hey, I commit to at least 4 years, at least 5."
The Rock. I think that's why The Rock is the right person, because he understands the struggle of trying to make it into the league, and he's going to be there because he wants to help players develop and get to the league. So I think he's the right person. Whether or not he's going to be able to make that happen because of the capital, we'll have to see that.
Now you guys do know he's pretty much a slave to Under Armour. Well, not slave, but I mean he's the guy. He's that guy for Under Armour, not Steph Curry, but it's The Rock. And what I mean by that is, do you not think that that's going to be something that he's going to have to like pull back from to try to run this? Like, you know, is he going to be able to maybe have Under Armour as a sponsor for XFL? Like, you know, because of what I've looked into as well, The Rock net worth is only $320 million. That's not that much if you look at NFL owners, if you look at owners of anything else. It's a lot of money, but I'm just saying, you know, when you talk about people that have real money, that's chump change. So, you know,
who said he has to run it though?
But that's what I'm trying to figure out. What is his whole intent on everything? Is he going to let somebody else do it? Is he just the face? Is he actually going to be a part of the day-to-day operation? Like, we don't know what's going on. We just have a headline in an article.
I mean, y'all said he bought it with his ex-wife, right? His ex-wife is still.
He bought with an investment group. His wife.
He's part of the ownership group. Yeah,
part of the ownership group, and pretty much he's the face. It's like the Alex Rodriguez and J-Lo trying to buy the Mets. They're not buying it by themselves. They're buying it with a group. They're the face of the group.
Okay, got you. Understood. I still think it's fuck out of here, but you know, it is what it is.
I mean, nobody's saying that it's gonna work. You know,
hey, hold on.
Y'all arguing that it's going to work.
No,
the rest of the world, y'all making a strong argument.
You have to set up a baseline.
Are in agreement. This shit is just It's just
an automatic thing is gonna work. No,
we'll see.
While we talking about the XFL and these professional teams, have you figured out what teams?
And here we go.
Yeah, I did. It's called Stop Pocket Watching. That's something that Brett needed to be doing because you out here worrying about money or whatnot. So that'll wrap up tonight's episode of Kinfolk and Nem. We'll see y'all next week, same time, same place.
You're never gonna give it to us, are you?
Never will. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Never gonna get it. Hey, what you know about that? Yeah. So, anyways, we'll see y'all next week, 9:30. Kinfolk and Nem. Appreciate you guys tuning in.
You ain't shit.
Terrible.